Oh my God. Well, let me go ahead and get started. I can jump on in.
Hi, my name is Robbie Miles, and on behalf of the Black Theater Group, we would like to welcome you all to this week's edition of the AOC Artist Check-In, sponsored by NBAF. Our theme this week is Our Future, and we have the honor of chopping it up with Malika Whitley, CEO of Chopart. Tonight, not only will we learn about Chopart and some of the amazing work they're doing with our teens, we'll also be able to see performances from our teens who are able to find their voice thanks to the help of Chopart. Thank you so much for tuning in and all your support. And I'd like to introduce you to our host, Daryl Grant.
All right. Thank you so much, Robbie. Thank you, friend. We are here with our final episode in partnership with NBAF for AOC Artist Check-In. And I'm so honored, and it's a pleasure to have one of my good friends doing all the work here in Atlanta for Atlanta teams, CEO and founder of Chopart, Sis Malika Whitley is going to be joining us tonight. So we have a very special final episode of AOC Artist Check-In for the month of February. Remember, all month we've been celebrating Black History Month and highlighting local artists here in Atlanta, doing big things here in Atlanta. So of course I have to end with the Queen doing big things here in Atlanta for our teens and for artists throughout the city and the state of Georgia. We have, like I said, a little treat. We're going to get into some history with some of our teens, do a little history for you for Black History Month to wrap it up, and then you get to see a splash of their talent. We're talking about our future tonight, folks, highlighting artists and the importance of helping artists and young artists, support them through creating, through their trauma. So let's give a warm welcome to my good friend, Sister Malika Whitley. Come on in the stream, sis.
Hey.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Hey, I'm great. I'm in here. Good to see your face. You know, we had to bring you back around. We saw you in the first season of AOC Artist Check-In. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I have to bring you back around for season 2 because it's just your work and your smile, everything that you do, everything that you're about. I just wanted to check in with you one more time and make sure you're okay. How you doing?
You know, I am out here. It's a blessing to be able to do this work. Mm-hmm. And a blessing to be able to survive this pandemic. And I'm really happy to be here with you and all of the beautiful things that you're doing on this beautiful platform that you built. And so thank you so much for sharing this with me and sharing it with the team.
Of course, you're always welcome. Now, you already know, like NBAF, they're family to you, right? National Black Arts. I think when we talked, I talked to them on the phone and your name came up. I called you right after. I was like, wait a minute. They know my sis. Let me call Malika. I just got the phone, NBAF. And you were like, oh, yeah. They're my people. That's family over there. So your reach and you have expanded your network so much in the last, 4 to 5 years. So tell everybody a little bit more about Chopart, Malika, that those that may not know all the amazing work that you all are doing in transitional living programs, all the amazing work you're doing with summer camps and bringing the arts directly to teens that are at opportunity. You're presenting them with that opportunity to create. So tell people more about Chopart.
Absolutely. So Chopart is a multidisciplinary arts organization for middle and high school homeless teenagers. And we meet our objective to provide risk intervention and trauma recovery for our teens by using the arts as an entry point. We do this in 3 major ways. One is by outreach to be able to meet some of their basic needs. 2 is by our in-shelter program where we go to the shelters, of course, during the pandemic, do virtual programming with the shelters to do art workshops, therapy workshops, so that the teens can create in that space. And then the third way is how we have partnered over so many years, which is Camp Envision. Camp Envision is a week-long overnight summer camp. It's the only summer camp of its kind, where it's an arts camp specifically for homeless minors. And it's just so important. The teens really love it. And I love being able to see them in that space, being able to see them so excited and own the space, and like all the OGs coming back and be like, oh yeah, I'm the junior counselor this year. It's really beautiful. So that's what we do. I love this work. I feel honored to do this work. And I feel honored to be able to know our teens in the way that we know them.
Yes, yes. And Malika, you do it so well. You and everyone else at Chopart. I mean, I have the honor of just, being a part of a piece of that. But there's so many facets to Chopart, like you said, the transitional living programs, and having to transition from being in person to now doing virtual learning and virtual engagement with the teens. How was that in transitioning to virtual learning? Because not everyone has access to the equipment to be able to do that.
Right. And that has been a hurdle for us because our teens in particular don't have as much access to internet as other minors may have. So our programming that has been virtual has been mainly for the students in the shelters who have more of a stationary place to be. And then the shelters may have infrastructure for internet and also some kind of internet enabled device. And so we've been able to just kind of, I feel like, pull off the impossible, as many organizations have done over this pandemic. Many organizations have, pulled up their big girl panties up and said, you know what, this is my community. We are seeing the effects of our why exasperated. We've seen a homeless boom due to this pandemic, and we want to be able to meet our kids in a place where their trauma does not, we know that their trauma will carry through their lives, but we want to meet them at a place where their trauma does not embed in their spirit in such a way where they can't go forth in their lives without that being a constant boulder on their shoulder. And so that's really our goal for our virtual programs, is to say, we're still here and we still have you. We still got you, no matter what.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're still serving in that space because, the teams appreciate it. They let you know. I love watching the relationship that have blossomed between you and them, and the relationship that I have with them now, thanks to Chopart. And you mentioned that a little bit. You said, through Camp Envision. I think the last, I don't even know how many years, because it started off just me helping with the showcase, and then I came on to the summer camps, and y'all got me right on in there. In the summertime, it's hot. I'm I love y'all if I'm doing it. So let me tell you, this is the most special summer camp that I've ever been a part of. And I've been a part of a lot of summer programs throughout the years. And Camp Envision, just the freedom that we allow them to have in that week, in that space, create, to let it all go. It usually, always, every time turns into something beautiful by the end of the week in the showcase. So thank you for bringing me on board and allowing me to participate in that and help. These past couple of years have been challenging in so many different ways. And when I look back on it now, guess what? All I remember is the art we created.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the times we cried or...
I remember some of them.
Yeah, I mean, if I think about it now, I would have to, but I'm like, I just remember the shows and the performances and the beauty that came out of it. So thank you for that. Camp Envision is so special.
Absolutely. Thank you for being a part of it. Like you said, it's about allowing the kids the opportunity to be children. So much of what homelessness takes from you is your opportunity to live in the present, and our kids, they don't get that chance to be kids. And so, yes, sometimes, at camp, that can be a little bit difficult because they're used to not being kids and they're used to not trusting adults and they're used to having to handle everything themselves. And so when you put them in an environment where you say, go swimming, go to theater class, have a talent show, have ice cream. Sometimes the reaction to that may be like, I don't know if I can trust this.
Right.
I don't know if this is gonna be what I thought it was gonna be, but it's really beautiful at the end of the week to see them just completely transform. I think the most impactful thing for me is seeing the friendships that they, develop with each other. When we first started Chopart, it was the kind of situation where every single class we had to make the best impact, which we still strive for this, but the best one-time impact, because we never know if we're going to be able to see the kids again, And one thing that's happened over the years is the kids have become family to each other. And so we are able to keep up with them. We're able to meet their needs. We're able to be the adults that they call when things are happening throughout the year. And I think that says a lot for the impact. And that's why we use art as an entry tool, because art levels the playing field. Art allows them to be in the speaker seat, when so often people are speaking for them and over them, are not speaking about them at all. And so I'm just so proud of them. I really am. Being able to see them grow up, from 12 years old to now in college or in jobs, or, just taking on the world. And I just feel really honored about that.
Yeah. I love that too. I love, like you said, as they get older and they continue to create, they build on their artistry, and we see them on Instagram and they're still tagging us and tagging you and tagging Chopart. And I'm like, not only are you still creating and you are like a bomb artist right now, but you're reaching back and still tagging the organization and sharing that with us. So I love that. I take them on. I take them on every time I see them. I try to send little comments and encouragement, and then I have to do some type of correction. Like, now at the beginning, can we tighten up on the can we tighten up on the intro? Look, they're like, Mr. D, come on now. And I'm like, look, I have to say something.
Look, because you know their potential. You've seen it.
Come on. I seen it raw in the woods, just free, just letting it out. Like, yes, it's amazing, y'all. I can't talk about it enough. And I'm glad that we have that connection, and we'll forever have that connection. So, I mean, a little bit about the formula and the format that we kind of use. And I love that you introduced this, Malika, because even in the summer camp, when we're outside of city limits with limited resources, we still provide the research ability to look and hone in on their craft of what they want to do for the showcase. Yeah. So for Black History Month, why change it, right? Like, why take away, like, let's dive in and talk about the history. So talk about, how you all shifted virtually to prepare the teams for some type of mini, presentation tonight to do the history and talk about Black History Month.
Yeah, so we, Instagram is our main point of contact with most of our teams. And so we were just discussing online, Black history, the future, them being a part of our future, and just how amazing they are. And one thing that I really love about when the teams create their content is it always shocks me. I'm always, I think, which a lot of adults do. You look at them and you only see children, but they have so much, so much experience in life and so much perspective. And so I love that they kind of put together a Black history program, like a good old Black history program that you used to see at school or at church. And honestly, I haven't seen one in a while. So I love, this, and I think it's a treat for all the viewers to be able to see it, because we haven't been able to see Black history programs during the pandemic, but pretty much they kind of took the wheels. They went away and said, okay, we got it. And they came back with presentations, and then we did the poem, and it's been amazing and a great treat to see just the talent and the perspective come out of them.
Yeah. And then, it encourages me to continue to create a space and the comfortability for them to be able to share the talents. Because I love that. Because, you mentioned it earlier about coming from a point when we first started to work with them of not wanting to share, not wanting to create, and not trusting yet, because it's a lot to let go of everything you've been through. And what I got going on at home, you want me to create something, you know?
Right.
Well, we can do some art. So when they really started to let go and use it as healing and use it to, get their freedom and tell their story, you start to see them flourish into what we're going to see tonight, which is amazing, amazing, amazing pieces of coming together, and not just doing the artistic element, but doing the research behind it, looking online, finding out everything about your topic that you can. What pieces do you want to use? How do you want it to flow together to tell the story? And you know me, I'm always like, look, you got to have a good beginning, middle, and end. Come on now. They know I'm going to say that before I get started with anything. So I want to jump into the first piece if I can. I believe the first piece is entitled Black History Month, and it's by Kiviana, right?
Yep, that's us.
Let's go ahead and get Kiviana in the stream to hear a little bit about Black History Month.
Okay, let's do it.
Hi, my name is Kiviana Manning. I'm 15 years old. Chopart is important because it gives you the chance to express themselves through the arts, as in music, dancing, and theater, etc. Today, my piece is called Black History Month. Black History Month is a month where we celebrate all African American women and men who made history trying to make the world a better place. Slavery was something that was the worst thing in history. White people stole Africans from their homeland and forced them to change their way of living from religions to their clothing. During slavery, our people were beaten, raped, and killed. Our people worked on plantations picking cotton. Some masters were good, but others were bad. We couldn't learn how to read or write. They had to do it secretly because they were caught, they would be killed. Eventually, the Underground Railroad was created, and it was created to help slaves run away to places that were free, like Canada, Chicago, and New York. Harriet Tubman helped those slaves, and she will forever be remembered for her services. Slavery lasted for generations, and even after that, we still wasn't free. The 13th Amendment was even passed in 1865, and then they came up with a new law called the Jim Crow Law. That was when colored and white folks were separated. White folks still had power, then they had more power. They had better jobs and educations. Eventually, we had the Harlem Renaissance, which is kind of my favorite. The music, the dancing, it was all amazing. We have a lot of people who were amazing during that time. The main person who stood out to me the most in this period was Josephine Baker. She was a beautiful woman who always shook what her mama gave her, but all that made her a hero for the French military. When the Nazi was a thing, she would have Jewish people in her house, and they wouldn't suspect a thing because she performed for them. But she would also get information and use her music sheets as codes. Time passed, and people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and even Ruby Bridges and more started to make history. As I said before, they passed a law called the Jim Crow Law, which stopped us from being equal to white folks. As I said before, they had better education, better jobs, even better opportunities. Jim Crow started a diversity which had white people who had businesses only served whites. Some would serve African Americans, but they were served from the back. Transportation was diverse too. Whites sat in the front, African Americans sat in the back. Public bathrooms were also like this. Martin Luther King seen the problem, and he tried to change it by marching and giving his "I Have a Dream" speech. Malcolm X seen the problem. He tried to change it by protesting, speaking publicly to everyone. Rosa Parks, she was a tired woman who sat in front of the bus and refused to give up her seat to a white man. Ruby Bridges, the first black child to go to an all-white school, she was threatened and even spit on, but that didn't stop her. Eventually, the Jim Crow Law ended. Even though the Jim Crow Law ended, we still to this day have to deal with racial profiling, dealing with cops killing black people for no reason. And even though we are free, we still are free. We can never escape the past. But black is beautiful. Black is power. And that is what everyone is afraid of. Black Lives Matter. Happy Black History Month. Okay, thank you.
Wow. Come on, Kiviana. Yes. Thank you for our Black History Month. Like that history, it sets everything up. Because come on now, no disrespect to any schools around there, but we know that certain things are omitted.
Absolutely.
And I love that our teams are like, look, let me research it. Let me put it in my presentation so we can lay the foundation for our artistic response later for our poem. Look, that was beautiful, Malika.
Amazing, right? And you know, when I first heard her monologue, I was like, oh, like, oh, okay, so we're gonna do this. Okay, that's fine. And I was just so blown away and inspired by her, and her fervor for our legacy, you know, and her fervor for our future, and our capacity to withstand anything. I think it's so powerful.
Yeah, and she's not gonna like it, but I mean, well, she gonna do nothing about it. But I remember when I first came into Chopart, because I think the first year Kiviana wasn't there, and in the second year, yeah, and so the second year was like, who were you? Like she tried it, because she'd be looking, like she quiet, she'll be in the corner, just peeping in the corner, and it eventually just started to come out, and always was the first one to volunteer and say, I'll go. Or, you know, when it comes time to share, I'll share mine. Like, not just doing the work, but I love that they're at the place to share now. So thank you, Malika, for getting them to the point where they can share their artistry and not be ashamed to speak out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What else we got coming down the pipeline? I know they working on something together that we're going to save last, right?
Yeah.
Last, but we got Shakiriana coming in here that's going to drop another historical piece on the first Black professional musician, right?
Absolutely. And Sassy loves music, you know, and I think anyone who's been around her for more than a day will know that. She writes her own music. She loves to recite and to rap and sing other people's music. And she's good at it, you know? Yeah. And so I wasn't surprised when she presented to me what she wanted to say, but I was very impressed, you know? I learned something new I hadn't known.
Listen, I learned something new too. They're gonna learn his name tonight too. I ain't gonna drop his name. I'm gonna let Rihanna drop his name. But when I first met her, she was drawing. She was doing art in class, right? And she had her music going. She was vibing. You know what we do at Chopart? We let our teams vibe. Is that your vibe? Go ahead and create your vibe, and when you come out of it, we're gonna see what you got. And so, you know, I nodded at her. She said I could sit down. I just watched her, just listen to music and just draw and just create. And when she was done, she showed everybody, and then she came back and joined the group. And I was like, yes. So she needed a little moment. She needed a little break to get away and create, do what she needed to get out. And once she got it out, she was good to go.
Isn't it? I think it's so inspiring how hyper creative our teams are. Yeah. You know, that they can slot into any discipline of the arts and do amazing at it. You know, they have so much potential, and I think that using the arts as an entry point for trauma reduction and working with homeless teens creates an opportunity for us to be able to see that potential and to advocate for that potential. So Sassy, she has it, and I am always impressed by her.
Right, she does. And let's get to it. Let's go ahead and show the people what she's been working on with her presentation about the first Black professional musician.
Hey, my name is Shakiriana. I am 14 years old, and why I think Chopart is important is because Chopart gives you a way to escape reality by doing what you love, and you meet a group of people who eventually gonna feel like family to you because the organization is just that amazing, and it's like you can be yourself. You don't have to pretend. You could just do what you want. You know, you could be a kid again. You don't have to worry about what's going on in your life and everything. But yeah, Chopart is a very important organization, and they're amazing people. So, for my presentation today, I will be talking about the first Black musician. And what inspired me to write about him is because a lot of people don't really know about the music these days. And I'm a huge fan of music, writing music, making music, etc. Like I just love music, and there's so many different genres of music in life. And I decided to take some time and think outside the box and talk about somebody that we don't know. So I had to do a lot of research, and I came across this person, and I started just reading about him, and I discovered some amazing things about him. And I think that I should introduce him to y'all because why not? But without further ado, let's get into the presentation. George W. Johnson, who was born in Virginia in 1846. He was born a slave to a 15-year-old father and a 13-year-old mother. And very early in his life, he was taken by their owner, who was a prosperous farmer, into the farmer's home. And he made Johnson a playmate of his own son. And he was free in 1870s. But when he was free, he decided to migrate to New York and become a street performer. Basically, he was performing on the side of the streets for pennies and coins, singing on the streets of New York. But there was also some embarrassment to what he was doing because the songs that he had chose to sing, they became very popular in the 1890s, which basically mocked black. And it was considered racist at the time. But by 1919, the NAACP had been founded, and there was a movement underway to improve a lot of African Americans. So he was kind of pushed out of the public eye. Like, they just pushed him to the side. They put him out in the 10s and 20s and so forth. His records went out of print. So meaning by that, a lot of people don't know what that means. I mean like his albums, they flop pretty much. Like it's old. Nobody listens to it no more, to be real. His records went out of print. He was pretty much forgotten for many years. But in 1890, George Washington Johnson became the first African American to make commercial records. The Library of Congress is now adding Johnson's The Laughing Song to the National Reading Register. So I have a very strong passion for music, and a lot of other people have a passion too. And this man was really important to write about him because in life, because he still became something, he still made somebody himself despite all he went through. So basically what I'm trying to say is by writing about him is that you can achieve anything. It doesn't matter what you go through, because at the point in time I was down low, and now it's like you take that as motivation. You don't use it as an excuse. I learned that in school. My teacher said, take what you've been through and use it as motivation. Don't use it as an excuse of why you're not doing what you want to do. So what I'm saying is you can do what you want to do no matter what you go through. Like if you love dancing, do that. Don't let nobody tell you different. If you love singing, do that. Rapping, do that. Acting, do that. You got to push yourself. And it might seem hard at times because you're going to feel like you're just by yourself. Sometimes you're going to feel like ain't nobody there. But I promise it's always somebody that's going to be there. So what I'm telling you to do is do not let nobody tell you different, because I done been bullied. I done been told things, I done been told a lot of things. I done been told you ugly, you can't do this, you that. And sometimes that word is gonna hurt you. But you gotta you gotta toughen up, and you just gotta keep pushing. But yeah, don't let nobody don't let them stop you from doing what you want to do. If you want to do whatever you want to do, you can do it, and you better do it. You feel me? Do not stop. I'm telling you, achieve your dreams because you got it. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Hope I didn't went overboard, but that's all I gotta say. Thank you for listening. Have a great night and happy Black History Month.
Wow, so it's coming even not only with the history, right? The history about Mr. George W. Johnson, like not only the history about this first Black professional musician, but a word of encouragement. Like we not only sharing our talent now, Malika, you created, and y'all know me. Those of you and everybody who know this, I'm trying to get through this without being a ball of tears.
Look, I've been like,
because not only are they comfortable with sharing their talent right now and doing the research and being inspired by our history, Black history, and they're sharing that, but she ended with a word of encouragement for other young artists who are coming up behind her and with her. Like, you're not only creating an environment for them, Malika, to create art, you're teaching them how to pass down that opportunity and how to share their art with the world. And wow, that touched me. So I'm a little message, like wow.
Right? I mean, that message was for me too. I loved it. And one of the things that is a trip to me is that when Chopart first started in the United States and we needed like narrative to be able to prove the impact, because a lot of times when people hear arts and homeless youth, they're like, and so we needed a narrative. I went ahead and put mine out to be able to protect the kids from having to share. And it's funny because we're a non-censorship organization, right? We don't censor the kids. We're like, they got bigger things to worry about than whether or not adults are uncomfortable by what they have to say, But I had been censoring them for a while about like not sharing their narratives, not sharing their perspectives of their own lives. And they stretched me, they stretched me and they stayed on me. And they were like, Miss Malika, we want to speak. We want the mic. This is our organization. We want the mic. Yeah. And it has been the greatest lesson from them to be able to honor their voices and be able to honor their perspectives and not just jump in and say, because you know how we adults can be. Sometimes people will exploit the kids. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to protect them from that. And I love that they have a word for the public and that they want to share their perspectives, and also that they allow me to protect them from the back, And so it's just been a beautiful journey, especially with these teens. We've been able to see them grow and mature and take on different things in life. It's just been amazing, and to be able to hear them, like give encouragement in that way. I think that's the biggest impact metric, honestly.
Right. And we're getting it directly from them, Mm-hmm. It's not through some type of survey with, whatever, which I'm sure you're familiar with, operating an organization, but because those things have their place too. But getting it directly from their mouth and not only seeing the transformation, but having them be able to articulate their own transformation and tell their own story. Wow, like that's all I can say is wow. And thank you, Chopart. That's all I can say because I'm just blown away. And I knew it was coming, and it still hit me. Like,
yeah.
And you work, you do, and it just seeing it put together right now in this package, it just hit me like, oh my goodness, they're still creating through everything. So I think that's a testament to everyone. Right, we all had a difficult 2020, and some of these teams, their lives were difficult before 2020, and during and after. So, and they're still choosing to create and share, and oh my goodness, I can't. And I know we got one more treat.
Yeah, they are incredibly resilient, resilient. And I think that we can all learn something from them about how to always see your light, even when it's hard, how to see your light and how to point each other towards their light.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have one more tree, and they're gonna tell us, about how they see their light, and they're gonna challenge us to see their light in their artistry.
Right. So we've been talking about and not only highlighting Chopart on this final episode with NBAF to celebrate Black History Month, but that importance of what Malika just said, creating through that trauma and sharing your light and noticing what that light is and being able to articulate that. So this final spoken word piece is an artistic response to that amazing history that we just got before. So y'all just tune in, stay with this. I promise you, this is the ending that's worth it. The spoken word piece by Kiviana and Shakiriana, and it's entitled Our Bright Future.
Let's go.
Our bright future.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Are you paying attention to me? Should I work on my angles? Showing you my mama smile, showing you that I'm safe, my grandmother's spirit, showing you that I'm family.
Am I family to you? Can I sit next to you in my shoes? Has this path that I walked been interesting enough for me to take a breath and sit down? Do you understand that I belong to you too?
Do I belong here? This space outside of your binary? Could I pose a query to you? Is there room for me here, or do I find home in the way our palms shut out the world? The way she laces her fingers into mine, because that's mine too. Concentrating on our breathing like every breath is a threat. In favor of our salvation, in favor of our liberation, in favor of our self-love.
Do you love me enough to understand me? Enough to let me be a child when the easy solution is punishment? Banishment from your schools, from your hearts, from your opportunities for the audacity of my innocence? I want to dance. I want to laugh loud and cry when I'm hurt and worry only about insignificant things with dreams filling my body for the world that awaits me.
It may only be a small, insignificant thing to you, but I love having my own kitchen. In the shelter, we could only eat what everyone else ate, when everyone else ate. The amount of times everyone ate but my mom, she makes the best dinners for us now. She can fill the house with smells of life we had to put on pause for a while. She can fill our bellies with promises of a long life ahead. She can quench our thirst for a place to sit and break bread.
It may be a small, insignificant thing to you, but I love going outside. I don't have to buzz in or out. We just walk freely. We're not hiding. We are free to run and play, gossip and fight, laugh and bond, explore and learn. This is where my roots will be. This is where I'll point to from the future, saying I'm from the East Side. The East Side loved me. The East Side made me.
So there was this lady the other day in my class who told me that I'm a part of her future. She told me that I'd be the first to break down doors and pave paths for my children. She says she sees how capable we are. Black girls are turning dirt into food, tears into steel, and fear into determination. She sees me in the future and is teaching me how to have a vision also.
And so to all of this, I am still forced to be reckoned with. My mom says I have perspective and it'll take me far. Under all of this, I have a passion for my life that can't be matched by obstacles, that can't be darkened by doubt. Under all of this, I am still extraordinary. I am still as amazing as I was when I entered this world, because that is my birthright. That is the gift given to me by my ancestors, and unmovable destiny to be great.
And some people may not be convinced, but that's not my business. I do not exist to explain myself, to make myself bland enough to digest. In this house, we exercise our tongue when we need to speak up. In this house, we believe in each other, training for our lifelong sisterhood. In this house, we create our future because we are unsatisfied with what's given to us out there.
We are powerful. We are capable. We are creative. We are unbreakable. We keep our eyes on our self-worth, no matter how much they try to distract us. We know who we are. We know we belong to each other.
Even as children are important.
Even our anger is wise.
Even our laughter is musical.
Our eyes on the prize. We are coming in hot and our future is bright.
With all perspective to serve you delight.
Hello. Make sure you pay attention to us.
Wow.
Hello, okay?
No. I thought about running off to get some eye drops because I ain't want to come back with red eyes. Like, look. Wow, Malika, some of those gems.
Wow,
Even our anger is wise.
Even our anger is wise. Even us children are important.
I will not make myself bland for you to digest. Like, oh my God.
I am just as amazing as I was when I entered this world. That's my birthright. I mean, the power in those words. Can you imagine speaking those words as a child after coming through what a lot of adults have not even experienced? No. You know, like the power in these young girls.
That was good. We're gonna have to keep this one. We're gonna archive after tonight. We archiving this footage so we can use this. Like this gonna be a Chopart something. Like you know me, I'm gonna make all the teens gonna learn it. I don't know. It's gonna be our anthem. That was so good. I mean, I wanted to wrap back around after this piece. When you said something before about how to find your light, stand in that light. How do we get there, Malika? What are some of the tips you can give us that you've learned throughout the years, not just in helping teens, but helping yourself? Because you've been continuously creating through your own trauma, you know? So how do we as people and some of the teens out there watching tonight, what are some of those key steps that we need to be able to identify and work through to be able to create through our trauma?
You know, I think the biggest thing is finding the power in humanity, you know, and your humanity, understanding that you are human and that the things that you've gone through have no bearing on how good of a human you are and how good of a human you will be. That is giving you perspective so that you can be a light and a vessel and a strength for other people and also for yourself going forward. You know, sometimes I look back at some of the things, I feel like I've lived 15 lives. And sometimes I'll be stressing over an email and I'm like, girl, is this the thing? Is this the thing that's going to stress you out after all of this? You know? So that's the first thing. The second thing is community. You know, understanding how to find and honor and pour into your community and how to allow them to pour into you. So many times when we go through things, we get in this mindset where we think that we're alone. And I'm speaking from experience. You know, I'm not just speaking. Sometimes we just think we're alone. And it's hard to convince ourselves that people have our back, that people are holding us down. And so find your community and trust them and let them trust you and get in that thing together. And then the third thing, what the students just spoke about, is look towards your future and be a stand for your future. Be your future's biggest fan, okay? Because your past self is gonna be the foundation for you being able to reach everything that you want to do, and also the things that you haven't even thought of yet. And so understand and be confident that your best days are still ahead of you, that there are still so many more people who are going to love you in the future. There are so many people who you're going to love in the future, many lessons that you're going to learn, and that the best is only started. You know, you are forced. You were brought here for a reason. You are here still for a reason. And if anything, this pandemic has taught us, you know, that everything is divine. Everything is in community. And so really fall and mold into that and allow that to be your safety.
Wow. So the teens are not the only ones dropping gems tonight. That was so, look, sis, that was so good. And that's why I am connected to you and the work that you're doing at Chopart, outside of Chopart, personally, whatever, because we are aligned, we are connected for a good long time.
For a long time, baby. You
okay. For a good long time. Everybody know. My whole family know, church know, we connect. So what's coming up though? What's coming up for Chopart down the pipeline where we can, you know, support you all and I should say us because I'm ready. After Black History Month, after this project, you're my next turning my attention to Chopart because we got to go. We got to get summer going and figure some things out. So what's coming out of the pipeline where the community, where we all can turn our attention to you and support you?
Well, we're pulling off something that I think is pretty ambitious, where we're trying to do a digital summer camp this summer. And so we typically do our summer camp in July. We're waiting to see what the school schedules will look like due to the pandemic. And we could really use help with designing the camp, people coming in to help run the digital camp, teach classes, do therapy exercises with the kids, and just make it a great experience. Because they didn't get to have camp last year. And we know that, the digital camp won't be the same as the overnight, physical one, but we want to be able to give them a great experience. And so if you want to come alongside us to help us create an experience for the teens that they feel connected to and that they feel growth from, please email me at info@chopart.org. I would love to hear from you. I would love to work with you and be able to give this gift to the teens.
Yes. And that was info@chopart.org, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Because yes, I'm gonna have to. You get my confirmation right now. So I'm giving you confirmation right here on the air that I'm there. Whatever you need, I'm turning my attention. Me and the co-producers here at Black Theater Group, we had already been talking about it in our Monday meetings. How can we turn our attention to Chopart for the summer camp? I'm ready, like this. And it was a learning year. I think it was a pause. There was a lot going on, but it was definitely a needed pause. And I'm glad that Chopart took that pause to kind of figure out programming and what's next. I took the pause in my company. We did some rebranding and, came out top of the year with this ALC Artist Check-In. So I love that. I want to be aligned with those organizations that want to still serve and be of service, but let's make sure we're doing it the right way. So that's why I'm here with y'all with everything that you're doing. And you said the teams are all online and on Instagram. That's a good way to find Chopart too, right? To connect online, Raji.
Absolutely. Find us on social. That's the best place. We're at Hey Chopart on Instagram and Twitter. And you can search that on Facebook as well. Find us on social, follow us there, and show us some love. And then later on this year, we'll be sharing some of the teens' Instagram content with you as well, so that you can support them as well.
Wow. Thank you, Malika. Thank you so much for popping in here and just blessing not only our AOC Artist Check-In, but blessing my spirit and my soul with your smile, with everything that you're doing at Chopart, and with our teams. Like, oh my God, Shakiriana, like y'all, to see y'all grow from where y'all came from and to share tonight, it really, really blessed my spirit. So thank you to them and their parents and their families for allowing them to share their talents with us tonight. Like, it was amazing. Wow. Thank you so much, sis, for everything you're doing for the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving us this platform.
Yes, I love you. Enjoy your evening. Nice checking in. I'm going to call you so we can get rolling. All right. Bye, sis.
Bye.
Wow. That's it. It has been a wrap. It has been an amazing month. Again, happy Black History Month. Everyone has been along for this ride with us for ALC Artist Check-In. I have to thank once again NBAF, National Black Arts Forward. I have to thank our co-producers, Robbie Miles, Tyra Watkins. Like, y'all are amazing. Like, thank you for coming along this ride with us and pulling this together. We've been on this journey all the way from our art and culture with the first week, going into our stories. Last week, we had our time for advocacy, and wrapping up this week with Chopart, Malika, Whitley, and our teams with our future. Y'all keep it locked and be sure that you follow us on social media for everything that we have coming up. We are Artists of Color ATL. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for everything we have coming up next month and beyond next month. Y'all make sure that you support Black stories, Black lives, Black art, which all of that together supports Black culture. Thank you so much for checking us out this month. NBAF, Black Theater Group, BTG, out.
Hi, my name is Tyra Watkins, and on behalf of the Black Theater Group, we would like to thank you for tuning in tonight. Art is an integral part of the African American culture, so by helping support Black artists, you're helping support Black art and culture. So thank you. A special thanks to NBAF for sponsoring our virtual conversations. And a special shout out to Chopart, our guest from tonight, and all of our artists, past, present, and future. This is our last broadcast for February, but don't worry, we'll be back in March to celebrate Women's History Month and interview the wonderful and talented women of Atlanta, because who run the world? Girls. You won't want to miss it. And remember, by coming together, sharing our stories, and talking to each other, we can all rise above. See you in March. BTG out.